Otherwise, Michael's gonna text you.
Yes. Although, hey, there my transition finally worked. Welcome everyone to another Monday night here, Proficiency Bonus. Whereas if things weren't going fun with the technology, well, it just wouldn't be a Monday night. My name is Matthew, your somewhat bobble-headed and benevolent dungeon master for this evening. Before we jump into too many things, a couple of quick shout-outs. Thanks to Streamlabs and Streamlabs OBS and Twitch. They're the software and platform that we do what we enjoy doing. Many thanks to Little Dragon Corp and CCG, Cardboard Castle Games. If you put exclamation point Little Dragon and exclamation point CCG in our chat, you'll get a link to their websites. Don't forget, if you go to Little Dragon, you can use the discount code PROBONUS to get 10% off your order. Basically, it'll cover the cost of your shipping. They ship anywhere in the world, so definitely go check them out. You know them. We love them. Hell, I show for them more often than I should. Hey, it usually works for me when I do, so... with that being said, we will jump into tonight. As you can see at the moment, I've got Lydia's picture up, so she will be on Roleplay Light, as Sarah's not going to be able to be with us tonight. Snowmoon is currently an empty space as he is on his way and just running a little behind. So we're going to pick this up and see what we can make happen here for us. Last time, our party had made their way back to their abode. After giving Murdoch a little bit of information about their living situation, and Lydia immediately sort of dragged her through the house, gave her the 3-minute tour, got up and found that there were, where there had once been 5 bedrooms, there were now 7 doors. One for each of the 6 of you, and one in the middle. Everyone sort of splintered off, did their own thing. Murdoch checked out their room, found that there seems to be a large, a rather substantial, what appears to be law library within. Many different books listing many of the larger cities and their different legal codes and things of that nature. The party pretty much set up to start getting ready for a long rest, as they've just made it back to the house. So I'll leave it to the party. We can either pick up right where you guys were, just all sort of gathered in, heading in there, or we can pick it up the next morning if everyone feels the need to take a rest first. And the story is yours.
I am okay with resting because we did get here after traveling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sleepy.
All Granny is doing is making dinner, so.
Yeah, I'd be fine with picking up after a rest.
Okay, so you guys managed to get locked up. Lydia, now that you all know the password, Lydia makes sure that the enchantments are still on the home, keeping you safe, because everything locked up, and it's turn in for the evening. Next morning, awake.
As I go up to my room, I count the doors, look at the one that doesn't have a label, and be like, "That's a tomorrow job," and just go to bed.
Yeah, and you all notice that it is the center door now. There are now 3 on either side, and the central door that just doesn't seem to have a name marked on it.
Well, I said that I was going to be going over Baldur's Gate's code legal for what laws they have written. Most of them are probably not. But definitely early in the morning, it starts to be more of like okay, I'm like looking around at stuff that Lydia may not have like gotten too into in my house tour. It's like, oh, okay, there's just the door that no one knows how to open, and all these okay, cool, yeah, cool, okay, wonderful. How much do they really know about this place? She thinks to herself.
So, and as you're walking down, and as you're sort of poking around as you get up in the morning, you do make your way down to that far end of the hallway that Lydia sort of barely mentioned in passing, trying to like direct you in to see if you had a bedroom. And you do come down to a large circular room. And it's sort of an odd sensation as you're walking in. The floor is almost bowl-shaped. Just ever so slightly. But on the far end of it is what really draws your eyes. Is everything else you've seen of this house is beautiful, dark woods, except for this room, which has a massive stone door. And as you're looking at it, you can definitely see writing on it. It is not of a language that you recognize, though.
Damn it.
Is it written in a script that I recognize but can't read?
Go ahead and I'll say make an intelligence check.
Sure thing. There's a 6.
You're not 100% sure.
Alright. It's like carved into the stone.
It's carved in.
Interesting. Well, I do love ominous looking doorways with things written on them that I can't read. What does this say? Who's awake? I'm just calling out into a house.
You hear a door open from down the hallway. What?
So sorry, dear. I didn't mean this doorway. This rather I don't want to say ominous, but ominous looking doorway. What does it say written on it?
Do you mean the one that none of us can read?
Yeah, that one. We haven't even gone in there because we were not sure. We just sort of all peered in and left it.
Well, you know, I'm happy to know that you do not just go wandering into places that you can't read the message on. That's probably good.
We're a little concerned because, I mean, this house was made just for us. You know, I mean, you've seen your room, I'm assuming, a custom. So why would they put a door here that I mean, we can't read, we don't know what it's about.
I think we also
Interesting.
tried to open it and didn't open.
This home was given to you by your benefactor, yes? MP&P?
Yes, Master Past and Present? He gave us the name Talos.
Do I know what
A very, very ill-looking person, very gaunt and pale and clothed in black.
But looked to be as if a man?
It appeared so. Definitely knowledgeable about us.
I see. Well, generally I don't trust men in black cloaks. Especially if they don't fully seem like they are actually just men in cloaks that can give magical houses. But
Magical houses, portals, dropping off items from across the sea. I mean, he gave us back our portable hole that we left behind. Just left it behind when he disappeared.
You know what? Perhaps maybe I need some morning tea. I was perusing over the notes that you had so kindly prepared for me, Furia. I haven't gotten through all of it, but it does seem like there are quite a lot of things that you've collected in your travels or seen that you don't really know what they mean. Either phrases in strange languages or symbols.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, people have been sort of telling us about them, but not giving us straight answers either. And sorry about that, like, page 30, I did spill the ink on it, so I just crossed it out, moved it to the next page.
It is fine. We all spill ink every now and then. Break a quill nib. It's understandable. For anyone that does as much writing as you've done in such a short amount of time, how's your wrist?
I mean, it's all right. It's been a very long time since I've done that much writing. I'm not usually a writing type of person.
I do possibly have I have a possible solution for some of these unreadable things that we may actually be able to find what I need in Baldur's Gate. It would take a little bit of looking, but possibly not too much. And I would actually probably employ the assistance of Artemis. Wherever they are, probably still asleep.
Well, I know you're probably also curious about the ring that we found and
Yeah.
what I know about it. So maybe let's go have breakfast and I can tell you what I know.
All right. And
I
you're
found
referring to the ring in the stone box that fell from the sky, possibly.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, that's what it sounded like.
All right. Sorry, you were saying, Sarah.
I found thick cut bacon last night, so I think we should get those cooking and also wake up Artemis because we'll need Artemis. Artemis, it's magic.
It's like shaking a box of treats.
Who do you think I am?
Magic! Magic!
Where
Yeah, I'll
are
go
you
knock on
shouting
Lydia's
this? Okay.
and Snow Moon's doors to wake them up as well for breakfast.
Yeah, so Snow Moon gets up, a little groggy at first, but makes his way and starts heading down with all of you. Lydia joins as well, helping out Sigma as needed. Getting water boiling for tea, things like that. Little things just to make to make Sarah's job a little easier.
It's okay. There's a lot of Sarahs.
If
There's
it's not Furia and Lydia, it's Sigma Sarah.
Can I? I would take as long as it needs. Would I just be able to get a pretty accurate rendition of the symbols on the stone archway as a copy in just one of my books, so that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So I will write it
it's-
down just so I have a copy.
Yeah. It takes you a little while, and this is an unfamiliar script to you. So you've got that sort of like 6 or 7 year old. You're familiar with the alphabet. You're drawing it out, but you're not really tracing it, so it's a little shaky at points.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Yeah,
fair.
it's enough that anybody who looks at it who knows the language would be able to read it and translate it.
Perfect.
A
Thank you.
weeb trying to write down kanji for the first time.
Eventually, you all make your way down, and Murdoch, as you walk into the kitchen now, for your first time actually being in the kitchen,
Yeah.
you now notice the door that Lydia mentioned to you the other night, which, as you're looking at it, it is a very large door with 5 bars running across it, each bar with a keyhole in the center of it.
So many doors. So many doors, and this one has 5 locks. What about this one? Yeah, what about this one?
That one has keys. We each got one in our rooms. Luckily, it didn't add locks now that you're here. Not that I'm not happy you're here. And also, by the way, do you like your eggs sunny side scrambled, parboiled, hard boiled, soft boiled? Soft boiled's pretty good if you have the time.
I like hard boiled,
Hard boiled, yes.
just like me.
Murdoch, our portal is behind there.
To where?
We don't know.
Okay.
Not exactly. We know that the people we took the parts from were trying to use it for summoning something bad. I think. It's been a while. Managed to get all the pieces and connect it ourselves. I mean, it's a tiny little thing. It did zap us all pretty badly when we all connected it.
Hold on. There were people that were trying to get pieces of something to summon something, but you got all the pieces and then put it together anyway?
Yeah, now that you say it that way, it does sound pretty bad, doesn't it?
Yes, it does sound pretty bad. Did
This
you
was
summon
before I
something?
showed up.
To be honest, no, you were there when we put it together, Sigma.
I
Darn
was
it, I
there
did it.
Yes, but I wasn't there when you were getting the pieces, just in case the lawyer needs to write that down.
We found one of the pieces in the town where we met you. And we went to the place with you. On Tamford.
My dear, that's all a blur. There was the tavern, there was that rude god, there was the raven that was a person, and
Did
then
you
a raven.
summon something with it or not?
No, nothing came out.
Okay.
Nothing came out.
But
It's
But
fine.
it made this portal.
Well, I mean, it got put together, but there isn't actually a hole you can go through.
Are you saying that the pieces got put together and made the portal itself? Is that what you're saying?
It's like
Yeah.
it's like a little archway thingy.
Okay.
Like the stargates created, but nothing's activated.
Okay.
Basically, what inside the door is the Stargate. And if
Okay.
you watch the TV show, they built the dial home device.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they have a smaller thing that they found pieces of that they put together. It sort of messed them up a little bit, so they decided not to play around with it anymore yet.
Right.
Yeah.
So I do want to, so the people that were trying to summon something were bad people that you stopped.
Well, we're assuming so.
But then you did complete the task that they were trying to do.
Yes, but now it's locked behind our door.
But now you locked it behind the door in your house where you live.
Yeah, now it's
As far as I have been able to tell.
Okay.
Good morning. There were people from the Great Hunt, somehow. Great Hunt people. That's in my notes about
Yes,
Great Hunt.
the
what we
Great
know.
Hunt.
But as far as we can tell, those were the people trying to do that thing.
Hey. Okay. All right, I'm going to reference back through your notes one more time.
Should be under symbols.
Symbols, yes, and then the
There was
shark.
a couple
No, not that
books
one.
about
Great
them,
Hunt.
Artemis, do you want tea?
Nice.
Right, for the paw from Malar. Okay.
That would be nice, yes.
Okay. I'm going to make a black tea. You look like you didn't sleep at all.
You're right on the money.
Were you dreaming of your father? We really should talk about that. Do you want to talk about that, Artemis?
This would be even worse of a time. No. I'm
Would
good.
you like a biscuit?
That would be good.
Okay. Sarah's just gonna put a biscuit in Artemis's mouth. You enjoy that. I'm gonna get the tea.
Oh.
Roll to choke.
Have you? I'm referencing your notes, and you talk about the hunters taking on a hybrid form. Did you ever observe any of them doing that?
No, but yes.
Well, maybe. I mean, there was that dude from the drinking contest that might have been part of it.
That now maybe.
And I mean, he don't think.
And Snow Moon. Don't forget about Snow Moon.
Yes, I mean, do you mean like lycanthropic sort of hybrid transformation, or something else?
No, he becomes
That's what
a
we're
beast.
assuming. I mean, the people from the Great Hunt is, from what we learned, probably a hybrid. But oh no, Hera had the guy we met in the stomach of the turtle, the shark person.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
He was
I
in
wasn't
hybrid
there
form.
for the turtle.
Yes,
Then
the
The boar.
yeah, Hera, a were-shark.
And like the weird stuff on that boat.
Yeah. Oh yes, the
Mm.
boat.
Okay. Well,
There's a lot here.
there is a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now
Well,
that you say it, now that we're bringing it up, there are a lot of animal people.
well,
Well, yeah, we met a lot of them in Kerwespo.
if you find any other before we get to Baldur's Gate, if you find any items or if you recall any items that you have things that you can't read that seemed like possibly being related to the lower planes, the work of devils or other sorts of infernal creatures, I can take a look at it. Baldur's Gate has a history, we'll say. And so I've
Alright.
familiarized myself with them a bit.
Can I ask what do you mean by that?
I can read the language of devils, infernal speech.
Oh.
And I believe
Well-
demons of the abyss, while they have a different spoken language, I believe they may use the same script. Either way.
I really could. I'm more plenty than fiery.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I'll leave that in your hands.
You've seemed to interact with a lot of interplanar beings, and typically that likes to attract the attention of devils. They like to make deals, and it sounds like perhaps maybe you've met a lot of people that have offered you things in exchange for things. And that's sort of something that devils tend to do.
So you're saying the person that gave us this house might be one of those?
The MPP, it stands for the Master of Past and Present.
That's what he said.
I would go so far as to say that you have one of two options. There's multiple options. I would very much so like that you've encountered some sort of celestial in disguise. That would be ideal. Or a devil. Less ideal. Or maybe just a very
Well-
powerful person.
All we agreed to do for this person that gave us this house so far is to go to 3 places and solve the problems there.
Okay. Interesting.
We did meet them in the goat dimension, though.
Yes. The goat dimension.
They were waiting for us there.
I don't think that's the right name for it, but
Well. Alright.
But I mean, I think we need to take one thing at a time. And you're probably all wondering why I knew, or at least I think I know what that ring was in that box that was mysterious.
Yes. Yes, I was very interested.
And so, well, dig into one of my pockets and dig out my own ring and put it on the table. This ring here, it's the only thing that connects me back to my family. I was put on a doorstep in a small village by a forest, and this was the only thing that was with me other than my name. And so I've been getting people to look at it for me to see if I can find a hint that leads me back to my family. And I mean, I've had mixed reviews. Art, you probably remember looking at it for me. So, I think it has something to do with planar magics. People have told me that it's part of a set of 7, which is why I think it was part of that box thing. I've been offered a lot of money for it as well, but I mean, since it is the only connection to my family, I held on to it, but I've been offered 5,000 platinum for it. Um, a sea elf told me that it should be charged to revitalize it, and it might reveal secrets. And to charge it, I should be near a plane or in a different plane or where planes are thin. I've also been told it should not look the way it is. It's been disguised somehow, and it should be much fancier. And what Art told me about what they saw when they looked at it is, well, the thing that stands out there was a big, huge eye and a kaleidoscope of color that turned from white to red to black. And we keep coming across this symbol that is three circles, biggest one white, center one red, and then the smallest one black. You know, like, it's in my the picture's in my notes, Murdoch. And it seems to be connected with magic users from a different world or plane. This Captain Dunbar that we met that was trying to get home had this symbol in his office and was wearing a white robe, or gray robe with a white circle on it. And the apothecary that offered me the money and told me that this ring was a set of 7 and offered me the money had his shop sign had all 3 circles on it of the colors in that order. So I'm not really sure what to make of it, which is why when you first had us in that zone of truth, I wasn't sure if I'm from this planet, because this ring seems to have a lot of stuff to do with it, and it's the only thing connecting me back to family. The other thing is that book that I can't read all of talked about a Zatarum agent that learned about a book called Lazentiel's Runes. Using the book, the book was about creating magic items like rings, guardians, and the book said that this Zentarum created a set of guardian rings of power. But when he died, when he was killed by his friends, I guess, the book and the rings were both missing. So this book was left in my room by the person that gave us this house. And I would like you to take a look at it, but there's a lot of sections of this book I can't read.
Sections just spread out, or sections altogether?
It's like I could read the first part and then the rest of the book I can't, and it seemed to be broken up into sections.
All right. What?
Oh, right. Apparently they were, according to a different person, like the apothecary, they were made in, or were from Cormier, and were lost from there. So I was hoping, at some point maybe our travels could lead us over there.
This is all going to be very, very useful to look up in Candlekeep, and I will say they are very hungry for knowledge. You need to tell them enough, but not too much. I am quite sure there would be much too many people that would love to get their hands on this book.
Right, and as well as the rings, if they are what...
Exactly.
I mean, I'm not even sure what they are. So the one that ended up in your bag of holding, and the one I have, I mean, that's why I wasn't sure about... I mean, I knew we needed to keep it if it is part of a set, but I don't really know exactly what they're for.
7 rings. A book. The book talks about the creation of magical items. That's this book.
The book mentions another book called Lazentiel's Runes.
Okay.
And the other book was used to create a set of guardian rings of power. So I'm assuming it means the rings that we now have 2 of, but I really don't know. I'm just assuming.
But before reading the text, my brain is going through all the numerology. I was I was thinking that there's 9 circles of hell, so no, not that. I was trying to think of different planes, 4 elemental planes, celestial planes, lower planes. Abyss is infinite, so that doesn't matter. I'm just sort of trying to pour through my knowledge at all. And it's probably just coincidence that there's 7 rings and yet 7 sections that you cannot read. Because it seems that they are
I
one step removed.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I could get you to look at it, but
Well,
I really don't know.
have you ever, has anyone performed an identification ritual on these rings?
Everybody that I've talked, there's been the lady from Care Westfall told me it's a cursed item with a dark thing inside that doesn't want to be found out. But she didn't really like us, so I have no idea if that was actually true. Ars looked at it. The apothecary looked at it. I had a sea elf look at it. And they've all given me bits and pieces. I don't know how much of it is true or how much of it is complete.
And they are charged when in a different plane? Is it how you understand
That's what the sea elf said. Charged to revitalize it, and it will reveal secrets, but I need to be in a specific plane or where planes are thin to do so. But I don't know which plane it is. Or if it's just any old plane. Other than this one, of course. But you're right. Candlekeep is a good place to go, and that's why I want to go.
Fury, you did
Alright.
say you pulled your ring out, correct?
It's on the table, yeah.
As you're all looking at this, and it looks like something you'd find that's been neglected in a jewelry box. It's once gleaming, polished metal is dingy and almost looking weathered or patinaed, depending on your metal of choice. And it's, as you're looking at it, Furia, you would probably notice it does have some similarities to the one that you guys dumped into the bag of holding. Although that one was, new from the shop. Perfectly polished, shiny, easy to see the inscriptions on it, where yours, again, seems to just be a little older, a little more weather-worn.
See. It could very well be possible, because you said it links back to your family. Could it be that the one that was left was originally intended for you, and that's why it's the only one remaining, seeming to look untouched?
I don't know. I just know that it was with me when I was a baby and dropped off at that village.
The one that you already... Okay, the one that you already had.
The one that the one I already had. I don't know. I mean, I haven't really shown this to anybody other than I don't wear it. I don't flaunt it. I mean, it's not very nice to look at anyway. But
Alright. Well, some planes, in terms of charging things, some planes are easier to access than others. And there are many. I mean, infinite, but classifications, you might have something like the Feywild, which is more reflective of the material plane, but then you also have up the planes of the gods, the planes of the devils, which are entirely separate. But none of them, no combination of things that I'm thinking in my mind necessarily adds up to 7. So I don't know if it necessarily refers to 7 different planes or 7 of one plane. I'm not entirely sure. But this is all very intriguing. Very intriguing indeed. And I had a question for Matthew. The picture that is used for the tangential circles, is that just the closest representation? Because I see that white circle being more like a moon. Is that accurate, or should it just be a plain white circle? Be interpreted as just a plain white circle?
Who knows?
Because here's where because what I'll say is, what it reminds me of, that symbol reminds me of a couple things just in its design. Of course, 3 overlapping circles can mean 3 overlapping duties and things of that nature, with each color corresponding to a different sort of job within one organization. It also could be like an eye. You have the white of the eye, the iris, the pupil. It could be the aligning of planetary bodies, such as for means of a ritual when planets align. Or if it was specifically the moon, it could in fact reference, say, a full moon, a blood moon, and an eclipse. 3 states that or a new moon, different states that the moon could be in.
With
I don't
what
know.
I saw in, well, when I checked it out, there was that short kind of vision of the eye that I did see,
Mm,
Hmm.
that's right.
but with the colors, I don't know if that could still be a planetary or planar or
Yeah.
something.
And I've been thinking about it for some time. There was the vision that we all shared of the white mask. That hasn't come to pass at all.
Not yet. Well,
Well,
breakfast is done. I think we should move on to more happy, maybe,
I agree.
topics.
I agree.
Have you been downstairs into the training room yet?
I have not.
You should go check that out. From what I've seen, it's pretty neat. There's fire, and it's just cool when you walk in. Just saying.
All right. Perhaps I'll take a look. That's
And
right.
when are we leaving for Baldur's Gate? Tomorrow? Later today?
I would like to take at least a day to look over things and see if I can read any of it, and then leave tomorrow. That is just my opinion, however. Do not interpret that as not being in a rush to go home. It's purely just about there's a lot of resources here that I'd like to work with.
That works for me. Art? Sarah?
Sure.
I have nowhere else that need it.
All right.
So Snow Moon and Lydia will agree. As you guys finish up your breakfast, and what is everyone's plan for the day? Let's jump over to Art to start. Art, what would you be doing today?
Honestly, I was going to follow Murdoch to the training room.
Okay. We've got Murdoch and Art heading downstairs. You'll probably run into Snow Moon down there working with one of the training dummies, because...
Oh.
Oh boy.
Furia, what would you be doing?
I would have gone back to my room intending to read up on the other book. I believe it was about druid clans in my room, and then before I get to my room, it stops suddenly and remember about that mysterious door. And so I would start, check for traps, knock on the door, and then open it.
Okay, go ahead and make an investigation check for me.
That is an 11.
Okay. Just jot that. Okay, and Sarah, what would you be doing as breakfast is come to a close? Everything's been sort of cleaned up.
I would also like to head upstairs back to my room.
Okay.
I also want to check out the mystery door as well.
Okay. And then we will.
Fairy, I see you're here too.
So, Fairy, as you check, does not appear to be trapped.
I'll try the handle, just see. You think you would have included grease in the house?
As you open the
Yeah,
door,
yeah.
it swings open in. You can see there's a looks to be a fairly short hallway, probably about 10, 15 feet. You can see basically one of those 1970s era beaded curtains hanging at the other end of the closet of the hallway.
Why would they put a hallway behind the door?
A sound barrier? I, slowly walk forward. And then sort of part, like not all the way, just part it with my hands, the beaded curtain.
Okay.
Look through.
Looks to be another room. It's a little dark. You can see there's some sort of circular thing in the middle of the room. Looks to be, the room itself looks to be about 20, 25 feet across.
I would stick one hand all the way through the curtain and produce flame just for added light.
Okay, as you produce light, it's you can see the room itself from where you are is a large circular room. Walls are about 10 feet high, and then the top of it is domed. In the middle of the room, that strange sort of shaped thing that you saw in the middle of it is a small, looks to be a cross between a stool and a table. 3 legs at the bottom, come up into the middle, very narrow, and then widen up. And the top of it is a small crystal orb. And Sarah, you
Do I know what that would have been?
Go ahead and make an intelligence check. Sarah, and you're a little ways behind, or are you right up with Furia?
I'm right up on.
Oh, okay.
That's a 16.
Okay. You're not 100% sure. Yeah, you've seen crystal balls before. Doesn't look like that.
Does it look at all like the setup I saw in the basement of the temple?
No.
No? Okay.
Nope.
Maybe we should get Art to look at this. It seems magic-y.
Very magic-y.
Maybe the hallway was for, silence. Get away from everybody. Whatever this thing is.
Or to be full of traps later on.
But you got that thing downstairs to do that. I'm gonna turn out my flame, put my hand back through the curtain, and sort of slowly back away and leave the room.
I would like to shut the door, behind the two of us.
Okay.
And then open it again. Is it still the hallway?
Yeah, it still looks the same.
Okay. If I open it again, is it still the hallway?
I'm gonna leave Sarah doing her
As-
opening and closing and go into my room.
As Sarah's continually looking down the same hallway, we're going to pan downstairs. As Fury, all you hear is... The door opens and closes. We are going to follow Murdoch and Art. As Murdoch is given directions and the two of you start open what you first take to be a broom closet or a washroom. As you open the door, you see immediately upon opening, you start to hear as flames start to light within recesses in the walls. And it starts trailing down the stairs, winding down. As you eventually make your way walking downstairs, about halfway down the stairs, you can start to hear noises of metal on metal. And you can hear Snow Moon every few minutes. As eventually you make your way down and you end up standing at the entranceway of a large circular room. A massive sand pit, basically, in the middle of the room. Standing on the far end of it, a row of what looks to be training dummies, with one of them having a rather large Dragonborn currently hacking away at it with a sword.
Well, it does seem to be a training room.
I mean, the torches are a nice touch.
Oh, yes. I like when torches light up when I enter a room. I wish that that was a little bit more standard in places. I would love if my hearth could start when I got into my house. She kind of like, just sort of is like, she's watching Snow Moon, but you know, is more so just sort of walking with like her one hand behind her back and the other with her newer cane. If only training the mind were as simple as training the body.
You're telling me.
Well, yes, but I would assume you are incredibly smart. Smarter than me in all my years.
I don't know about that. I don't think I could have won a court case.
The thing about winning a court case is you don't need to be smart, you just need to be convincing.
I'm not that either.
No.
Speaking of convincing, though, can I ask you something?
I was wondering why perhaps the spell slinger was coming down to the training room and she sticks her walking stick into the sand and puts her other hand on it. What would you like to ask me?
You notice that, like, they're actively, like, struggling on, like, just kind of, like, trying to maintain proper eye contact and, like, ambulate normally.
So, do you think you could teach me, Infernal?
Oh! Well, of course I could.
Oh, I didn't think it was gonna be that easy. Okay.
Oh, why not?
Maybe I could be a lawyer. Is this called convincing? You know, since you called me smart and all that, just learning more languages would be good for me.
I think it would be good for everyone. I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of the time when the group perhaps doesn't have an answer, that they look to you, hoping that perhaps you will have one.
Yeah.
Perhaps maybe you feel guilty when you don't have the answer. that you're not being as helpful as you could be.
Maybe like a little bit. Just a
We-
little.
Artemis, we all have our limitations. And what's nice is that, much like how Snow Moon is demonstrating over there so wonderfully, we can push our upper limit. We can get better. And better and better. And you have a hungry mind. You want to fit as many things inside of it as possible. Because you want to be helpful to those that are looking to you for guidance and information, because you read a lot of books. I think that you should be more confident in what you are already able to do, as it is a lot more than what most people strive to be able to do.
Does it mean that you're not going to teach me Infernal?
I'm going to still teach you Infernal, because if there is
Okay.
something that I can teach you, then that is wonderful.
Okay.
And in the same vein,
Hmm.
I think that there's a lot of things that this group does not know, and it's mostly due to the language barrier. When we go to Baldur's Gate, there was a spell that I'm hoping to find there, one that I've at least been familiar with, and I wanted to learn it myself, but I think perhaps if we can find some text on it, that you would be able to make much more use of it than I.
Well, I mean, we could both learn things if that's how learning spells work. Is that's the same for everybody? You know, I'm not too sure. Fairies,
Unfortunately,
druid stuff seems to be on a whole different level.
magic is a complicated thing. It is one
Do you
thing to
think
be
I
able.
would know more?
Pardon?
You think I would know more about it?
I think you know more than you let on.
Hmm?
When you perform your magic, you are doing something that many people take a very long time to learn how to do. You are not only just tapping into the weave's power, but you are harnessing it and holding on to it and reusing it and reapplying it and shaping it. Yes, I've seen you shape it. I'm sort of like a one-trick pony. Something outside of my immediate trained knowledge is going to be sort of a one-and-done scenario, but you can learn it fully, and then you can do it as many times as you are able. That is something that I am not able to do, and nor will I ever be able to do. It is as if I can play one very nice song on my violin, but you can compose a symphony. I can play that one song very, very well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Art, we need your help.
And so your duty calls.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Murdoch, of course you can come too, but we found it. We opened the 7th bedroom, and we're not sure what's in there. I'll also push sort of into Murdoch the book that I was talking about.
Ooh.
This is the book that we can only, between Art and I, can only read parts of.
All right.
But you should come look at the room first. I mean, it's different?
I look back at Snow Moon training. Yes, I should probably. Yes, I should probably go with you.
What? I mean, it's not that interesting down here. I mean, it's cool with the fire and everything, but
Yes. It's
Not-
very boring down here. There's nothing interesting going on. It's just sand and dummies.
Thick. Okay, I'm going.
I'm coming. Let us
And
go.
rippling muscles.
Somewhere on his ride home, our poor dragonborn just went, I've been objectified. I just
I'm so sorry. I don't want to objectify you.
Shivering.
You're so strong. And the person that's playing this very straight woman is very gay. It's okay.
So eventually you all make your way upstairs. And you find
I'll
yourself-
reopen the door with gusto if Sarah is not there, still opening and closing.
No, Sarah's still opening and closing.
As you all
Eat
start
this up.
making your way upstairs, you can hear. It sounds like somebody is opening and closing a door repeatedly.
No.
Just saying. I think that's the sound of insanity.
Ah, yes, the age-old definition. I'm familiar.
What about now?
And nothing has changed. Although as you're closing it more and more, you are starting to notice the beaded curtain is moving a little bit. As you're slamming and opening the door, you're creating a little bit of a breeze.
Is
Oh, this time. for
Excuse me.
sure.
Can we go through? I mean, you can continue what you're doing after, but I thought Art might know what's at the end of this hallway.
One of Murdoch or Artemis, you open the door, because perhaps it's because it is either me or Theria. Because I have a theory, a theoria, if you will, that
this is
perhaps this
I would like to
door-
slip that past Sarah and just move inside.
Okay, we're going back inside. My theory was that depending on which of us opens the door, that would change what's inside the room.
So yours just happens to be. It doesn't change.
Well, I was testing to see if it was maybe a timing.
Is that true of other doors here, that they change depending on the person that opens it?
That hasn't happened
that-
yet.
Right.
But
I'm walking down the hallway.
Okay.
Come on.
downstairs changes, and we got another room when you showed up too, actually, including this one and your room. And downstairs,
As we're walking.
the basement
She does
changes
this a lot.
depending on who goes down there. What you need.
Okay. So here you
I
make your way
follow
down-
after them.
Okay.
So all of a sudden, Granny realizes, where'd everybody go?
So, crystal orb.
Yep, so as you're getting, as you get down to the end, Sophia is leading the way. I'm assuming Murdoch's behind, and then Artemis is right behind. So as Furia gets up to this beaded curtain, sort of pulls it aside a little bit, and you guys look in. And now you can see what appears to be a... again, I'm calling it like a crystal or a glass orb sitting on top of this sort of three-legged metal stand in the dead center of the room.
I will do produce flame again just to shed extra light for the people that can't see in the dark.
Okay.
Maybe some detecting of magic. I'll step into the room, sort of wave my hand about.
Okay, so As Furia steps through the beaded curtain, she vanishes.
Oh no!
It was the
I'm like
curtain!
mid-sentence. I'm like waving my flaming hand around and maybe some bat. And
Now, does she vanish to us? Like, does she know that she's vanished, or
She
Can we...
hasn't turned around yet. She's just moved and kept talking. So as far as you guys are concerned, it looks like she walked through her doorway, and the curtain just swung back closed behind her, and you can't see through the curtain.
can we still
Alright.
can we still hear her? Like, if she was to continue like
Barely.
talking?
It sounds like she's talking from
Oh.
miles away or underwater.
Well, that's cool.
Okay.
does
I
the
rush
room
through.
look different? Like, am I in a different space? Does it look the
Nope.
same to me?
Looks the same to you. As you
Okay.
turn back, you can see the beaded curtain.
If
But your friends are all gone.
if I try and cast the message spell on Furia and tell her to stop walking, does she receive the message?
Give me a second. Let me look at message right quick.
The creature has to be within 120 feet.
Let's see here.
It says you
Oh.
can cast it through solid objects
It
if you
does
are
not.
familiar with the target.
It does not specify. So I'm going to say that yes, she hears it. We may have to retcon that, but at least for the moment, it does not say it doesn't work. So I'm going to say yes, it will.
Furia,
So
stop.
as I'm looking at the empty beaded curtain,
You get a message. From
you're
her.
gone. So yeah, I turn around and stop. You're gone too?
You have gone, my dear. Seemingly very far away past the threshold.
Start walking back towards the beaded curtain. Go through it.
And you nearly trip over everyone who is still standing right in front of the curtain.
Okay, hello! Welcome back.
Well, that was neat. I was in that room. I couldn't see you. You couldn't see me.
No.
It's like a barrier or teleportation or.
And they look up at Murdoch.
Could this be like a planar thing?
I go back through the curtain just to.
Well,
I would also like to go through the curtain.
no.
Two of you are in the hallway alone now.
Could it
Do
be
I
a
see
planar
Sarah where I
thing?
am?
Yes, you
Just
do.
like, are we in the same space? Okay.
Furia,
Can-
it was the curtain!
Are you both together?
Who are you messaging?
Furia.
Okay. I can see Sarah.
I turn to Artemis. It does seem like possibly some sort of threshold or maybe teleportation, but it seems to be stable. They keep going back to the same place and seemingly
That's-
can come back easily.
That's a plus.
Shall we?
Oh boy. Yeah, sure.
We're coming through. We'll see where we go from there. I come through.
As Murdoch steps through the curtain and vanishes. And you are left alone in the hallway, Artemis.
I hate this. Yeah, they'll go on through.
Okay. You find yourselves all standing now within the room you were just looking at. And again, you see this a three-legged, what looks to be pedestal or stool. And about halfway up, there is a small, like a smaller circle. Looks like you could possibly set something there. And then it widens up a little bit, and another clear, circular metal ring that has this orb sitting in the top of it.
Hmm.
That's as much as you can see for. Well, I should say, how close has anyone gotten so far? Are you all still like right
I would
at the
probably be
curtain,
standing right next to it at this point.
or? Okay.
Not touching it, just looking at it, holding up my fiery hand.
As you're looking at it, moving your hand around the top of it, you notice what appear to be almost like pinpricks in the top of the orb. As you're looking at it, for the most part, it's not 100% like clear glass. And as you're looking at it, moving your hand over, you can see little spots on it that seem to be slightly more polished than other parts.
Do you guys know what this thing is? It's like not it doesn't look like a crystal orb. It's not all smooth and polished uniformly.
Would I know more about, like, is if it would be like a focus or something, like, because that's what mine is. Mine is also like a crystal orb.
I'll say go ahead and make an intelligence check.
Okay. Ten.
Oh, okay. So you you would know that crystal orbs can serve as magical focuses, but typically they're your best get is as you're getting a little closer and looking at this, they're usually of a higher quality.
Okay.
As you're looking at it and really certain focusing, you actually notice something that Furia doesn't, given the difference in your height.
Oh, nice.
As you're looking at this, so Furia's up and with her hand looking around on basically the top section of it, everything from that little ring holding around the base of it up to the top is that slightly almost cloudy, like it's not perfectly polished except for these few spots. The bottom part, everything underneath that ring open to the bottom, is perfectly polished and clear.
And can I see anything through that, or is it just polished?
It just looks polished. I mean, it's... No, it's... It's hard to say exactly what to use for you. I don't think Art has run into something like this before.
Can I?
No, go. Sorry, I didn't know you weren't done. Continue.
Could I try and identify?
Sure. So,
Okay.
are you casting it as a ritual? Or do you have it prepared?
Do I have it? I do have it prepared. Nice.
So,
I'll just cast it that way.
okay.
I'll spend 10 minutes.
So is Artemis is taking a couple of seconds to start to cast Identify. What would the rest of you be doing while Artemis is casting their spell?
Did Artemis verbalize that the bottom is completely clean, or are you just keeping that kind of in your own head right now?
I would noticeably be looking at it in comparison to the top, like back and forth and up and down for a couple times before rummaging around in my pack. So do with that information with what you will, but no, I wouldn't have verbalized it.
And is it how do I kind of explain this? Because you say that it's not like a perfect sphere, it has like planes on it.
Well, it's not so much planes. Think of it like if you were to take a glass ball and
Yep.
basically sand the top of it. So sand the top half.
Okay.
Now basically you've got this sort of cloudy, roughed up section.
Okay.
Then you pick spots on it and you polish them.
So strange. And then the pinpricks. Can you explain?
That's what I mean. Is that those
Oh,
little tiny
okay.
spots?
That's the sanding.
Right. Those little tiny spots that are perfectly clear.
Okay.
And the sanding is over the majority of the ball.
Interesting.
And Artemis, as you're casting your spell, you actually find out it is not magical.
Well,
What you do get
drat.
from it, as you're casting it on this item, is that the base of it is
Like the little
The
three-prong
stand.
thing that I'd stick it.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
The tripod is. If with the proper words spoken, that central small ring where everything sort of meets about halfway up the base of it emits a bright light.
Okay. I think I got it.
Cool.
Because if the bottom is clear, think about it. If a really bright light is shined through that, the sanded, cloudy parts are going to block it out, and it'll just shoot light out of those specific pinpricks. And that might basically focus like a beam to something else in the room.
What happens if I just like?
I move my
what
hand,
happens if
my
it's, like,
my hand underneath the orb. I don't think this is bright enough, though. It's not focused enough.
No.
And Art, you would also know that the command word that comes into your mind is Shirok.
Can you spell that?
Shirak.
Cool. Hey guys, I found a thing out. And though it is quite the intrusive thought that makes me want to do it absolutely immediately, I thought that maybe I should tell you guys there's a word that I can say, and then there'll be like a big light, and it'll shine like really, really bright, and I don't know. We just stepped through something that put us somewhere else, sort of, kind of, and I don't know. I just don't want to.
Do it.
I don't know. Okay, cool. Shirk.
As you hear this unfamiliar word come out of Artemis's mouth, you immediately notice this empty space in this lower circle starts to irradiate a light. And at first it starts to just glow out, almost as if somebody had dropped a sun in the room. And as it reaches out, it slowly starts to focus up at the bottom of this orb. And as it hits the orb immediately, the rest of the room seems to get dark. And as you look around and start gazing up at the ceilings and the walls, you see what appears to be the night sky.
It's a star map.
And as you notice, this crystal glass ball slowly is now almost, once again, very so softly turning. All of you go ahead and make a perception check for me.
Ten. Nice and even.
21.
24.
15.
Okay. So actually, you all managed to get it. It wasn't a very hard DC, but let's see if someone was off in their own la la land. As you're watching this, all of you notice at first what looks to be the moon. Just a slightly larger white circle moving across. And then a few moments later, you see a red one.
Yes!
And that's all
Sorry.
you see for a few moments. as the two of them moving slightly in different directions, but eventually they slowly start to come together. And then, as the two of them start to merge into one, the slightly smaller red in front of the white, you eventually start to see a section of that get blocked out by a dark black circle.
So it was a moon thing, huh?
It was a moon thing!
But
And as
Where-
Murdoch yells that out,
Sorry.
you all have the same thought. We don't have 3 moons.
2. Right, 1, 2. How many moons do we have?
we just have one moon. Where is this?
Sorry, my world has 2 moons. I get confused sometimes.
DM, how many moons do we have?
Would I recognize these stars as our stars? Considering how much time I've spent outside underneath them.
It's, as you're looking, it does not appear to be. You're not seeing any of the familiar constellations that you've come to recognize.
But
No.
This isn't our sky. This isn't our sky at all.
This is either a sky.
So it's also
How-
a planet thing and a planet thing.
Well, but hold on. Because I do have a quick question. Because I know this, but I don't remember if this is regular knowledge of people in Faerun. Toril is one of 2 twin worlds.
Huh. Would that be?
The world was split into twin planets. That was like a big thing. But I don't know if... Sorry, yeah, D&D lore. But I don't know if that's common knowledge by the people that live on it, that happened. Or not. That was like a Selune...
Yeah.
Selune and Shar did that a long time ago.
Yeah.
maybe it's like a folk tale.
I mean...
I'll say go ahead
if-
and make a history check.
Oh, no. Oh, wait, I'm proficient.
Oh,
yeah.
I was gonna say, I hope I heard.
With a
Oh, you're-
19, that's a 22.
Okay. So I will say with that high of a roll, it is not common knowledge. It is one of those that is put off as, call it a religious creation story or folk tales of things from before. No one can really point and say, hey, here's proof this really happened, but it's something that different groups across the world do share is, oh, well, back when everything was created, this happened. So you have heard of it before.
You're right, Furia. It could not be our sky. Or it could be from a different angle. It's not common knowledge, but it is believed in some sectors, both scholarly and theocratically, that the world that we live on, all of our land, is one of 2. That they were one before, and that, for whatever reason, the gods had separated our world and this twin, this sibling, into 2 separate places. That could mean, just as how if I'm standing on this side of the room, the stars look one way, but if I stand on that side of the room, the stars look another way, it could possibly be that this is the sky of either a different plane or the other side.
I'm
Possibly.
gonna point at the black circle
that's in front of the two moons and go. So by what you're saying, would this be where we are right now?
I'm saying it's a possibility, yes, that this could mean the sun, the moon, and our twin planet, and that we are one of the circles.
Well, where's the moons from our perspective? Because we don't have 3 moons.
Well,
But I also know that we've met people that have this symbol around all the time. And, I mean, they didn't... One of the people we met, their eyes were strange. Gold. Different. And it seems more like a plane thing than a world thing.
but in this respect, a plane and a world can seem and have a lot of the similar properties. Think about Dragonborn. Both worlds could have Dragonborn, but perhaps over there, they have tails. And here they do not. A world that's very, very similar, but just certain things are different.
We could go back and ask them where they come from.
That is true. That is what I was thinking is a possibility, is that this is the sun and the moon. And then...
But isn't not the sun so bright that it would just outshine everything else around it?
Well, if this is referring to them overlapping each other, this could be some sort of eclipse sort of scenario. Planet blocking the sun.
I think this is a question for Candlekeep, where the symbol really comes from, or where these moons, planets, things are.
True. There's multiple possibilities, to be sure.
There's a deeper question, however. Why is it showing to us now? Why did it show up here?
When it was turned on, it rotated until they lined up and then stopped.
Yep.
Because I have to imagine that something happens when the sky is like this, when everything is lined up. It could literally mean a conjunction of the spheres sort of scenario, that the lines between planes or places are overlapping. It could be a time to perform a ritual. It could be a time to travel to another place that one normally could not reach. It could mean bringing something here that could not normally come.
Like
But
the goat dimension.
I think Sarah's asking more, why is this room in our house now when it wasn't here before?
What if time is getting closer, like the goat dimension? They said the goats didn't show up until a specific time, and with the boat people, they had to go at a specific time as well to summon the dragon for their sacrifice. And what if our benefactor is our dragon or our goat?
I think that there is some truth to what you're saying, that the time might be right. Think about it. There was no room for me until I was a part of the group and came to the home. It could be that this room was created because the time that we needed has arrived.
Or is close.
Or is close. It provides what is necessary at the time that it is necessary to have it.
Our benefactor does have a way to travel between explains if them showing up in the goat dimension proves anything. So,
I would like to study the stars long enough so I think I would be able to recognize them if I saw them again.
Okay. Yeah. Easy enough for you to take some time to do that. And what I'm going to do is we're going to take our break here as you're starting to study up at the sky. You're noticing it is about 9:40, so it's a little past our halfway point. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few moments as our party has found a strange new sky within a room in their home. So we'll be back in just a few to find out what else our party is going to get up to this evening. So don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be back soon. Welcome back, everyone. I don't know why that takes a couple seconds to transition sometimes, but hey, we're not dropping frames. Everything's, working well so far. As most of our party is upstairs looking at a strange night sky they don't recognize, with what appear to be three moons. A white moon, a red moon, and then a small black circle that appears in front of it that we're not quite sure what it is. Might be a moon, might be a planet, might be a nickel.
Could be a bit of there was a bit of dust on the crystal. Wait, I got it.
So, the four of you that are currently in the room, Snowmoon, we had you downstairs training because we weren't sure when you were going to be here.
Okay.
So the four of you that are in this room right now, what are you guys doing?
I'm still looking at the stars so I can recognize them if I see them again somewhere else.
Oh, okay.
I'd probably be kind of doing the same as Furia, except I'm like just kind of like sketching them down as well I can into like a page.
Oh, okay. Sarah and Murdoch?
Is there anything else in the room besides beaded curtain and
Does not appear
star
to be.
map? Okay.
Murdoch is probably doing what I was doing, which is flipping through Furia's notes and trying to find mentions of the robes and such.
Actually, I want to try something. Can I go out of the curtain?
Certainly.
If I go into the hallway, do I see like the star map and everything like from the other side of the curtain?
As you walk through the curtain, and you all watch as Sarah walks through the curtain and then she's gone. And as you turn around back and look, and you see a darkened room. No one else is in it. There's no light. There's no nothing.
Okay. Is there anything else on like the walls of the hallway?
Go ahead and make a perception check.
All right, let's see what Greg got. Ooh, 16 altogether.
So, as you spend a little time going through the hallway, you don't notice anything out of place that you can tell until you get right at the foot of the beaded curtain. And as you're sort of looking down at it, you can see what looks to be almost a very fine thread of, looks to be like a silverish, like a silver wire, a silver thread.
Is it just stretched across the...
It seems to run the length of the doorway, where this beaded doorway, and disappear under the walls. It's almost like somebody built the walls on top of it.
Okay, so it's not going into the room, it's going through...
It's basically, the hallway's on one side, the beaded curtain hangs directly above it, and then the room's on the other side.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm still having trouble visualizing. Does it go into...
Okay, picture a
curtain?
Picture a threshold, like a marble threshold you'd have that leads from your hallway into your bathroom. You know, that thick piece of marble that goes underneath the door?
Yeah.
Same idea. It's just it looks like it's a thread or a wire. So it is literally parallel to the curtain across the doorway.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know why that took me so long to imagine. Alright. If I, like, tug on it, does anything happen?
Are you trying to pick it up and pull on it?
It just kind of like do a boing.
It feels like a thread.
If I, like, pull it up towards me, does anything happen?
Go ahead and make a strength check.
Okay.
You fold in the entire room that we're in, and we all die.
It's gonna be an 8. I am not strong.
Okay. Okay. So we will come back to you in just a moment.
Oh,
Malik, what would you be doing as you have just watched Sarah walk out of the room?
I would just sort of shrug and continue studying the stars.
I meant Murdoch.
Oh, I see. All right.
Wow.
The one without the A at the end.
Yeah, you know.
I gotta be honest. I feel like she's probably going to get Snow Moon, so I did not follow. That is logically what she thinks is it. She doesn't know that you're about to flick a wire. So Murdoch would be asking Furia, how well does she know our stars? Like, do you have a pretty good knowledge of our constellations and stuff?
Yeah, pretty good at knowing where stars are, and I mean, I kind of made up my own constellations for the most part, but I could tell you what it looks like.
So, and you don't notice any of our constellations in this night sky, but can you identify? I don't know if the Faerun has an equivalent of, like, the North Star. Like, is there one star that you can identify that may be the same? Just maybe from a different angle?
I can try. What do I need to roll, DM? See, studying these stars.
And as you're looking at them, I can tell you won't even need to roll. You don't see anything that you can recognize. So, but again, you've spent most of your time on one specific area, so you're not sure if this could be from the other side of the world, or it could be another plane or something else. It's just nothing you're recognizing in the sky.
Murdoch, I've spent 40 years sleeping outside, and none of these stars look the same as the ones I've slept under.
That's the tricky thing about stars. They're different at different times and different places. Alright.
Well, the place I slept under, none of these are the same.
Okay.
About that time, Snow Moon, you hear a hideous grating noise. Sounds like someone is dragging heavy metal rocks across like a metal shield. And it sounds to be coming from upstairs.
Alright, so
It's been a little while. It's probably been half an hour since you heard Murdoch and Art come down. They didn't stay long. They just sort of poked around. You got the impression Murdoch was being given the full tour, which didn't happen last night.
okay. Yeah, so he would have been practicing his strikes, and once he hears that, he kind of stops for a second. I guess I'll start to... And you said I get the impression that it's not coming from this room?
No, it sounds like it's coming from above you.
Yeah, so I'll put my blade away, and I'll start to, like, slowly drift upstairs till, you know, the sound seems like it's getting louder.
Oh, definitely. As you're heading up, and
And
you
yeah,
can
I'll
hear
keep.
it's just constant. Like if you were to take a brick and just run it across a metal sheet pan, that's sort of strange and kind of nails on a chalkboard to you.
Yeah, and I guess I eventually, as I keep trying to get closer and closer to it.
Go ahead and make a perception
My
check
start-
for me as you get up onto
Okay.
the main floor of the house.
Oof, that's a 5.
Okay, yeah, you're not 100% sure where it's coming from, but you can still hear it going on. At this point, Murdoch, Furia, and Artemis all notice the room is starting to shake. And the shaking is getting worse.
I was joking.
I sort of sit up because I've been lying on the floor looking up. What's that?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't like that. Is the orb like noticeably moving as well, or no?
Doesn't seem to be at the moment. Right now you notice it seems to be almost like the walls in the room itself are where you're noticing this sort of almost vibration.
Gross.
Maybe we've been in here too long.
Is it a
And
thing
have
that can
I like joined the others at this point
Is it-
in
so
searching
it-
for this noise or not yet?
Go ahead and make one more perception check. Because you're continuing to
Okay.
move because it seems to be getting worse.
Yeah. Okay, that's a 16.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is coming from upstairs. As you're moving upstairs, it sounds like it's coming from the bedrooms. And you remember that there was that weird 7th door that you guys hadn't gone into yet.
Yeah, and I still don't see anybody else yet.
As you turn down the hallway, you see Sarah crouched down in front of this beaded curtain, pulling on something like this. And then you see what looks to be just a dark room past her through a beaded curtain, but it looks like it's empty.
Sarah, do you hear that? What is that? Is that you?
Eh?
You don't. That sound. You don't hear that sound?
Do I hear any sound?
As you're walking into the hallway, Snowmoon, you're not hearing it.
Okay. So I'll like take a few steps back, to like.
The minute you get
Can I
out of
find
that
that
and
threshold?
back into that sort of semicircle with the bedroom doors in it, you can hear it again. And as you're watching, as she turns and she's still got that whatever's in her hand, as she turns with it, you can hear it gets even worse. As she's turning and looking around with this thing in her hand.
All right, Sarah.
What are you talking about? And
It's an awful scraping sound, like scraping metal. You can't hear it?
no. I'm gonna look down at the wire and like give it like a short tug.
Okay, go ahead and make one more strength check for me as you're pulling it one more time.
And we're dead.
14.
Okay, as you reach down and go and give it one more quick little like what this, and you hear ding as it snaps. Snowmoon,
Oh.
immediately you hear and then the sound is gone. Furia, Murdoch, and Art. All of a sudden, the far side of the room, opposite of this curtain, starts to deflate, almost like a balloon, as it just starts slowly decreasing in size pulling towards the beaded curtain. Probably got about 6, maybe 12 seconds before the...
So I didn't think we should go. Probably should. Yeah, you probably should go. Should I grab the orb?
I
I'm
think
gonna
it's
grab the orb.
Okay, we're grabbing orbs. Okay, we're gonna just take.
Just leave. Get out of here.
I'm going. I have old hips. I have old hips. Okay, power walking. This is why I
I'm
get my
going
step
to,
in.
if I try and grab the orb, and if it doesn't like immediately come like loose, I'm just going.
Okay. It's easy enough. As you reach up, grab the orb. You now have an orb which, as you sort of reach up and hold it, it looks to be almost the size of your head. As you picked it up now, and the walls are slowly still coming closer.
Not going.
Yeah, I'm rolling, leaping through the beaten curtain.
Okay, so you're diving through. Murdoch, you jumping through?
I don't. No.
Sure.
I don't jump through things. No. But I am moving quickly.
Okay, so Art is probably going to be the last one out because Art went to grab the orb. What did Murdoch and Furia, who would have been going out first, do you think?
I probably would have even dove past Murdoch as I probably
Yeah.
stood up and just like
Yeah.
jumped.
Okay. Both Furia and Sarah make dexterity saves for me. As you come diving through the curtain, and immediately as your head comes through, Sarah's in front of you with holding a half a string.
Math.
It's okay. You're gay. You can't do math.
15.
I got a 16.
Okay. As the Fury comes diving through this, no idea how or why you managed to pull this off, Sarah, but you just drop to the ground and Fury just goes sailing over you. As a mere moment later, Murdoch comes hurriedly walking through.
What? Why are you where?
And then Artemis comes carrying through with this large orb. And
Oh,
Artemis,
okay.
as you step through the curtain, you notice immediately the orb that you've been carrying that's head-sized. As you push your way through and look, all of a sudden you look down and it's the size of probably a medium grapefruit. Seems to have gotten a little smaller.
That's oddly convenient.
Why?
And as you turn back and look towards the curtain, you just see an empty space.
Can I make a perception check on Sarah, just in that general direction? Do I notice what's going on over there?
Sure,
What
go
just
ahead,
happened?
go ahead and make a
Petals
perception
died.
check.
Maybe. Probably. We're just gonna
That's
sit
an
down.
18.
Sarah, would you have dropped the thread yet, or is it still holding in your hand?
Probably would have dropped it when Furia barreled over me.
So Sarah's still sort of sprawled on the ground a little bit. Doesn't look hurt as you're looking over that area, but you do see there is a length of what looks to be a very fine silver thread. That's
What? Sarah, you were out here when all that happened. The room was shaking and then it sort of shrunk in on itself and we all had to dive out of here. I don't know what would have happened if we stayed in there. You were right outside the door. Do you have any idea what was going on? Maybe with that string on the
I
ground?
thought you were going to get Snow Moon. Hello, Snow Moon. How was your train?
Oh, hello.
I got snow.
I heard an awful scraping noise coming from upstairs, so I came up and I saw Sarah pulling that string, and as soon as it snapped, the sound stopped. So it was definitely the source of that scraping. Did anyone else hear that?
We were in another pocket thing, looking at a star map. Sir, what? Can't you just leave the string alone?
I wasn't intending on snapping it, but in my defense, I thought it was a trap. Like a
And-
tripwire of some kind.
We all went in there a couple times and nobody set off this trap. And Snowman said you were pulling at it?
Well, not
What
a trap.
pulling and breaking, one thing leads to another.
Also, usually that activates the trap instead of disarming the trap.
That's true. Pulling on the tripwire does activate a trap.
Not in the.
This
Not in the
art
sense
is
of a
very
trap
right.
trap. I thought perhaps that the wire was
So,
the cause
a
of the
not
muffling.
regular. And what is wrong with what was in that room? Nothing was wrong with what was in that room. It was very convenient and
What was
nice.
in there?
And you
said
went and
you saw-
broke it.
I'm
said you saw
sorry, I
star maps
didn't
in
know
there?
we could break the rooms in this
We
house.
almost died.
Did we
But
almost
you're
die?
alive.
I'm alive.
Art's
So the
like-
room was collapsing in on it, and it's not there anymore.
Art's sitting on the floor.
I think we
I mean,
almost died.
does anyone know what kind of what the string is? What was it magical? Is there?
Well,
This is a big
apparently-
Does anyone?
This is a big magic house.
Well,
Artemis,
I mean,
is
like,
this
what
magic?
type of magic is there? Is there a way to fix it?
Mend it. Does Lydia
Fira's
mend
just gonna
things?
shake her head, get up, and walk out. Like,
And
Just-
what's
just
that,
leave.
Art? Was that was inside the room?
Yeah, it's kind of a map. Although, now that I think about it, I should probably have taken the base too, but that's kind of not a thing we can do anymore.
Well, we just need light. Concentrated light. It's a moon thing!
Ah,
It is a moon
I
thing.
will take out my gem of brightness and
Oh!
say the command word
Give me.
and shine it like through the orb and see what happens.
Oh, you are so smart!
So
Does its sword work?
as you hold now, and as you're looking at it, you all, those of you who are in the room, do notice very faint marks on the walls. The catch with Snow Moon's gem, as he's doing this right now, is it is just glowing a massive sphere of light out of the hilt of a sword. But pretty much anyone who was in there and saw that could easily make the conclusion that if you guys basically put something around to sort of funnel the light, basically,
Yeah.
all cup your hands around it or build something to sort of keep it going straight at it, then it seems like it
Alright.
should work.
Put our hands around it, go into the bathroom, turn off the
We could-
lights.
We could put it.
Bloody Mary.
We could put it in a little metal tube and essentially make a flashlight.
Whoa!
Or one of those like not terrariums, but like the night lights you have where you project it in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now we have a portable map.
We do. Good thinking, Artemis.
And Snow Moon.
And Snow Moon, of course.
Sarah, I'm usually not one to come down on people, but could you not do that again, please?
Oh.
I've been through a lot, and I'm kinda at the end of my rope, and that's a bad, way to say it, considering what happened, but please. Thanks. They're just gonna get up and kinda waddle off in the same direction that Furia went.
I'm going to go read through this book that Furia gave me. I leave. Haven't been around long
I'll
enough
study
to chat.
this star map a bit since this is my first time seeing it.
It's very difficult for you to see it because with the gem on your sword, it's literally illuminating the entire room as well.
Yeah.
You'd have to find a way to sort of focus the light so it's just hitting. Actually, Artemis probably walked off with the crystal.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because Artemis had the crystal.
I'm so sorry.
So you could follow after Artemis if you wanted to, but
No, I guess I'll just kind of linger a little bit.
okay.
I was joking. I was making a joke.
Don't
Well,
do
stop
that
making
anymore.
Stop making jokes out of things that I've already got in my head, and you'll be all set.
Every time I make a joke in a D&D game, it happens.
Or if we're watching a movie.
Oh, you know, I bet those things are moons. Guess what? You found the moons in the asshole. So eventually, as you go away, we're going to jump over to Murdoch, as Murdoch has been handed a book.
That's true.
So as you're flipping through it, you do start to notice a somewhat common theme through a lot of these 7 sections. On each one of the 7 sections, there is an image of a ring. As you sort of flip through it, just doing a quick scanning, you do find one of them that matches the ring that is now in your bag of holding.
Okay.
That has the 7 repeating symbols in it. Each one of them is written in a different dialect.
Okay.
Each one of them using, well, I shouldn't say each one using various different scripts.
There's multiple scripts in one section.
No, each section seems to be in its own script.
In its own script. Okay, sorry.
So
Okay.
some of the scripts are very similar, but it looks like the structures of the way words are written are different. So you're assuming probably same alphabet, different language.
Same alphabet. Okay.
Based on the languages you know, you are actually able to read 2 of the sections.
Okay.
One of them, and give me a second, I have to pull up here. Where did my notes go? Okay. So the first one you find is printed in Abyssal.
Okay.
And it is, where is my, okay, come on, where are you on my notes here?
Oh,
Okay.
none of you speak primordial, do you?
No.
That's
There
like
is
4. That's
ye
4
olde-
languages in one.
Right.
Ye olde Duolingo.
And so the one you find that is in Infernal references a ring of Wayfaring.
Okay.
It shows the image of the band seems to have a all the runes marked on it are joined by this flowing, continuous, winding line. And it describes how this specific ring is basically it functions similar to a ring of spell storing and has a number of spells stored within it. And it seems like it's mostly based around finding one's way or basically movement and travel.
A collection of spells that follow that theme.
Correct.
Okay.
The second section that you can read is in Infernal.
Okay.
And that one references a ring of burning. The image of this ring shows, again, what looks to be very sort of crude infernal runes, but all looking almost as if they were ablaze. The book describes how this ring feels that it is constantly warm to the touch and has numerous fire-based spells, including such as Scorching Ray, Flame Strike, and one other that references a fiery shroud. Those are the only two that you can read. The other ones that you're looking at, give me a second. Let me just make sure I get this right so I don't. The other one, two. Okay, so three of them all appear to use a similar script.
Okay.
But again, you don't recognize any of the words, or you can't read it. But they
Okay.
seem to be using the same characters. One of them looks to have almost a sort of an elvish style alphabet to it. But again, it does not appear to be elvish. As you know, a couple of your party members actually speak that.
Right.
And the last one has a very sort of flowing script to it. And it reminds you of a stone doorway you saw earlier.
Okay. I think this is Dylan. It's a little bit Murdoch. For just keeping track in my notes, the sections that have already been able to be read, was it because they were in common, or were they in one of the exotic languages that you guys know?
No, that front section that Furio was able to read before was all in common.
Okay.
It seems like each one of the rings has been, or each one of these other sections that we are assuming to be about
Covering.
these rings, as you're now starting to see more of them. And as you're flipping through and looking at these, you do recognize, as I said, one of them matches the ring that is in your bag of holding right now.
But that's not one of the ones I can read.
It's not one of the ones you can read, though.
Okay. And neither of these ones that I could read were also Furia's ring, the old and...
Neither of them. Furious Ring doesn't look... All of these, the rough drawing on these all look like fancier, more well-crafted rings.
Okay.
Nothing matches the sort of older, like antique, almost sort of beaten up look that Furious Ring has.
It probably needs to be restored by going back to the plane by which wherever it is associated with. Okay, so what Dylan is thinking, because out of the languages that we don't have recognized, the exotic languages that we don't have available to us right now is Celestial, Deep Speech, and Primordial.
Oh, there's Undercommon.
And Undercommon, which is...
Yeah, and then Primordial is the basically the sort of
Elementals.
catch-all for Ignan, Aquan,
Right.
Orin, and Terran.
Yeah. Because we have Sylvan represented, so I imagine that if one of these was linked to the Feywild, it'd probably be written in Sylvan. So if we have the Abyss and the Hells represented through Abyssal and Infernal, that could technically leave the last remaining 5 sections, could be one for each of the elemental planes, and the celestial plane, possibly. Undercommon could be possible, but I know that that's. I mean, I believe that they speak that in the Underdark, which is not necessarily its own plane, but can border planes. So I'm thinking we need to look into celestial and the primordial dialects. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that celestial might be the archway. You might be dealing with a god. You might be dealing with a god that is appearing as a man. Which is better than him being a devil. I will translate these, and I will bring them to Furia. So what I will do is I will write a translation on like one of my pieces of parchment, and I will put it in the book in front of the page that I'm translating, and I will close the book out and I will return it to her because it is not mine. It is hers. So I'll return it, and Murdoch will explain. I was able to translate 2 sections and sort of go on to explain we had something was written in Abyssal, something was written in Infernal, and give her predictions about what the other rings might be associated with, the other planes. And that the ones that I translated are not this one that I have in the back pocket that we thought.
Okay. So while Murdoch is off taking care of that for a little while, Snowmoon and Sarah, you were the last 2 sort of in the hallway. What would you 2 be doing? As everyone else seems to have, some people left in a slightly more huff than the others, but.
How is Sarah looking right now after what just happened?
Probably just kind of like, well, this is, I still think this is a better outcome than what happened with the tea last time. I have things to do as well, important things to do. Yes, and I'm gonna kind of like back away towards my room and go inside there.
Okay. So as you watch as she backs away and disappears, sort of just basically right around the corner and disappears into her room, leaving you standing in the hallway alone.
I will, at this point, just start to head to my room.
Okay. So as you walk away, leaving the beaded curtain behind you, are you leaving the door open or closing it?
I will actually, before I leave, I'll kind of peek my head in through the doorway because I haven't seen any of what's been spoken about. So yeah, I'll peek around a little bit.
Okay, so you're sticking your head through the beaded curtain?
Yeah, I'll stay like on this side of the threshold standing, but I'll just peek my head through.
So as you lean forward and you sort of stick your head through and start looking around, you don't see anything at first. It's like somebody put a black bag over your head and it's just darkness. And then off in the distance, you see a tiny speck of what appears to be light. And as it starts to grow, getting closer towards you, just this small glowing mote of light just ever so slowly wheedling its way towards you, closer. Eventually it seems to be only a few hundred feet away. You'd swear you can almost feel the warmth of whatever this bright energy source is. As you watch as it starts to pulse just a little bit and then shatters. And you watch as what appears to be a long spiral of just little tiny flecks of light appears. And then after a couple of seconds it fades and you're left in the dark again.
I look down at the threshold. Is like the string back, or has anything changed, or is it the same?
The string is still, there's a little bit of it left on the left-hand side, and the rest of it is sort of pulled out back into the hallway towards your feet.
Okay. I'll...
You get that, as you're looking through this and looking into the dark, you have that sort of... If you've ever been to Space Mountain in Florida, where you're in the ride and it's just pitch black for a few moments, and you've got that just uncomfortable feeling like your stomach's going to drop out on you at any second. You've sort of got that sort of unease, because you don't see ground. When you look down, you don't see ground. You don't see walls when you look to the side.
Okay. I will use the Gem of Brightness again and say the first command word.
Okay, and sticking the sword through now so you can try to light up the room?
Yeah, I'll actually step into the room now.
Okay, so as you step through this curtain, go ahead and make a dexterity saving throw for me.
Ooh, nat 20.
As you step through, you go, oh, they said there's a room in here. You step out and you put weight on your foot and you just start going. And in that brief second of panic, you reach back and grab onto these beaded curtains, and you can hear as beads start pouring onto the floor. But you manage to grab hold of these and manage to pull yourself back up.
Okay. Yeah, catch myself and steady myself. Do I hear, I hear beads hitting the floor? Is that on the side I'm on? Or into the room?
As you're looking,
or can I tell?
You can see them hitting the ground right at the base, right on where this threshold is. And then a couple of them seem to be rolling back towards the hallway. A couple of them seem to be rolling towards where the room would have been. And just as they fall off the floor, the minute they roll off the floor, they just vanish into darkness. You don't even see them falling.
I'll just lean the sword in with the gem at this point, just to see if I could see anything in there.
As you put the sword in, it's a very odd sensation for you as you sort of hold the blade and put the pawl in to try to get the light out a little further. And you get the sensation that the light is just being swallowed. You can still see the sword, but where you normally expect to see, this massive 20, 30 foot ball of light at the end of it, you've got maybe 2-3 feet. So whatever this space is seems to be something. little different.
Okay, yeah. So at this point, I'll step away and I'll close this door.
Okay, as you make your way back, a couple of crunches as you step
Is
on
this
some
door-
of the beads. Go ahead.
Does this door have a lock on it?
Does not appear to.
Could I just cut like a foot off of my hempen rope and just like knot the door shut if I manage that?
What would you tie it to? So
Yeah,
you could tie the handle to something else, but that would also essentially lock the other door. It's like you could tie it to Sarah's door, but that would keep Sarah's door shut
Yes, I
too.
don't.
That's not a bad idea at this point, but
Trying to see what I have.
It also,
I
you would
guess
know that
I'll
it
just
opens.
keep it closed.
It opens out, so you could also like try to jam your sword in front of the door into the ground and try to use that to keep it from being opened back for things like that.
Yeah,
'cause
I'll
it
try
opens
to-
towards a room.
I'll try to do that with the blade with the gem of brightness in it. I could always just. Could I take the gem out of the blade?
You probably could yourself, but you damage the sword, or you damage the hilt of the sword.
Okay.
If you went to a
I'll
blacksmith,
just
they could
put
probably.
that blade in there. Okay, yeah, I'll just put that blade in there for now to try and wedge this door shut.
Go ahead and make a strength check for me.
Okay. Dirty 20 this time.
Okay, you're fine. All of you, as you've gone to your respective rooms to start doing things, just hear a loud from out in the hallway for a moment, and then a couple of seconds later, you hear a door open and close. And we will jump over to Artemis, one of the first to leave the room. What would you be doing after you separated from the group?
You might need to remind me, but like our lovely mysterious benefactor, they don't just like hang out in this house, do they?
No, you haven't seen the benefactor since you ran into them in the cages from the goat people.
Damn it.
But you have a name they provided you and a title. If you have ways of... If you're attempting to communicate, and you have ways of sending an arcane message.
If you've seen them, you could cast sending, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I have message, but doesn't that really have a...
Message is only like 100 feet. You'd need sending. Or if you think this individual is a extraplanar entity, then you would need contact other planes.
Double, don't have that. Okay, cool.
As Murdoch hears Art think about that and has a stroke.
I hate magic. I
Uh,
don't. I love magic.
Well, I guess there's no, like, note I can stick to the fridge then. About, hey, sorry about one of the rooms. No, I don't know. I'm gonna go for a walk. I'm just gonna wander around the house a little bit. Just gonna
Okay.
try calm down.
So Artemis is going walking. Furia, what would you be doing?
I would start flipping through the other book that was left for me, the book on I believe it was Druid clans.
Oh, okay. So it's not sure how much Furia enjoyed it. It's a very sort of dry read. It's
More like a history book than a storybook
yeah,
sort of
it's-
idea.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you are advised that there are different groups of druids that have been known to reside at various points in Faerun at various different times. Now, give me a second. I gotta jump over to a different page on my notes here. Just get me going all of everything I had prepped. Okay. Okay, there we are. Okay. So, let's see. You, and actually, let me see here. Okay, we get most of you are in roll 20, so I can put a couple of little things up here. Give me a second to see what I got for put markers here. Okay. So as you're flipping through this book, you are hear information on a group of druids that live on basically way far over to the east on the other side of the Anarok Desert. And I'm going to toss a little... So they live right in the northern section of the border forest. You get information on a small group of them that live just north of the Lake of Dragons, down over here. And then in your turn, you find information on one other group that is down in far down to the south in the Sunset Mountains. So I just tossed a couple of things here. Let me okay. Sunset Mountains. One over here in Cormier, and the one's way up northeast by the border forest. There's not a whole lot of information on the specifics on the tribes or clans at those locations. As they mention, goes into the most detail on the ones in the northern part of the border forest, specifying that this group specifically views the oldest parts of this forest to be the most sacred. And let's see here. Yeah, so they see that as the most sacred locations, and that this is their, basically these forests they view as the heart of the world. The other one, the ones in Cormier, it mentions that they tend to spend a lot of time with the water. And again, that sort of, as Fear is reading through it, it sort of puts you a little back in mind with that group that you met when you were back sailing on the through the Moonshire Isles. The last group mentioned is an odd one. It references that they have some sort of symbiotic relationship with the local group of giants who live within those mountains as well. Not you get flipping through that before it just starts to drone on and on about the history of the Druidic language, how they believe it came about, how it's passed down, and how for the majority of druidic tribes and clans, it is viewed as one of the highest crimes to teach the druidic language to a non-druid.
Yeah, I'll do my best to engage myself with the book after reading all the interesting bits. Sort of going and reading. Oh, I read that page already. Oh, until Murdoch comes to my room to give me back my other book.
Easy enough. You two manage to sort of hook up. It probably takes Murdoch about a half an hour to an hour to read through and just get Murdoch's used to taking notes for the casework and things like that. Snowmoon, as you've sort of had your experience and then gone into your room, is there anything you'd be doing?
No, just relaxing at this point. He would take his blade off and put it beside him and sit down on the floor.
Unless we come over to Sarah, who after everything happened and everyone had sort of splintered away, has made her way back to her room.
I'm gonna grab my scroll. I don't know what we're gonna call it. Artifact.
Oh, your little the thing you got.
Calling card. I'm gonna be like, hey, Ukma, Amga, Oompa Loompa. I'd appreciate a talk back at the moment here. Do I get an answer?
Go ahead and roll a D100 for me.
Oh my god. I'm gonna drop everything on the floor instead. That cool?
Sure. The cats will have a field day with it, so.
Oh my god, I don't know where my D20 went because of these cats. Oh, yeah, that's gonna be 100.
Okay, as you're sitting there, sort of holding this and calling out, you don't feel anything at first, and as you start to get more and more frustrated with this strange individual you ran into as you attempted to steal books from the library, eventually the room goes dark. And then it goes almost blindingly bright white. And you start to see a small speck of something off in the distance. And much as Snowmoon experienced, it starts moving closer and closer to you and faster. And it's, as you're looking, it's tumbling. It's a jumble of just, looks to be some sort of a rigid structure. And as it gets closer to you and closer, you actually start to recognize it. It's a symbol you've seen before. Of stark, rigid lines. Something you've only showed to one person so far. And in the back of your mind, you hear that strange, somewhat odd voice. They now come for you. They will hunt all of the fate touched. Just as they did to them and to him. And then as you start to feel that voice pull back, you have a quick flash of finding that scrap of leather with that same emblem on it after losing your husband. As the mind pulls back, you hear one last time, the fate touched. And then slowly the room seems to return. It's almost as if you had been staring into a light bulb and then just sort of closed your eyes, and as you start looking around, the blinding white light just slowly starts to fade back into color and texture as the room around you is now visible once more.
Mm-hmm.
And as you turn and look, as the hand that you had been squeezing and holding onto this small scroll pin, as you open your hand, you see that same image almost burnt into the palm of your hand.
Cool.
And that's where we're going to call an end to tonight's session.
Oh my god!
As Sarah has apparently made contact with her friend again and has now been warned that somebody is hunting. Murdoch has seemingly found, well, has deduced certain thoughts and has an idea of what she thinks is happening, but has also managed to translate 2 out of the 7 sections within Furia's book. Artemis has opened up a little bit to Murdoch to express their concerns and grew a pair and laid the smackdown on Granny.
Not really, though. Like,
For Artemis, yes, that was indeed, that one hurt the most.
And to Artemis.
When even Artemis is going, you know what, I don't like to say things, but you screwed up. Yeah, you in trouble.
I could just imagine Sigma getting up and walking down the hallway and appearing on that camera and being like, "What did you say to me?"
T-minus
Art
3
and Sigma
minutes before
choke
that
each other.
happens.
And then, unfortunately, or Snowmoon wasn't here for the whole session, so didn't get to put as much into Snowmoon's ear as of yet. But hey, he nearly jumped into an strange black abyss.
Yeah.
You were gonna be so dead. You were gonna just fall forever.
If you've ever been to Bed Bath & Beyond and visited the Beyond section, that's where Snowmoon was going. He was just going to be floating out in the Beyond section forever.
He found it. Beyond.
I found it.
Oh my god.
Oh, we'll be back next week, folks, to see what is going on with our party and see who, if anyone, decides to share what they've learned. Some people are on similar pages. And I should mention Murdoch is aware that the ring that they found that is currently in her bag of holding is one of these 7 sections in this book, but unfortunately doesn't know what it says yet.
Can't read that one. I'm gonna get you that spell, Artemis. I'm gonna find you that comprehend languages spell. We're gonna read so much.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm gonna cry so much.
Don't forget, folks, when You're having a deep, emotional moment between two friends, discussing while a somewhat sweaty dragonborn is working out in the corner. Don't forget to check in with the other two people who are doing upstairs, and don't forget to add your proficiency bonus, folks. See you next time.